There was apparently a gigantic cyber attack in Iran. Of course, nobody's claiming responsibility for this. We're not positive it even happened. Like I said, I saw some video of somebody trying to get money out of an ATM and it was not working. Reports are that ATMs across the country have crashed. Nobody can get money out. The central bank of Iran is shut down. The account numbers, passwords, account balances, all the, personal information of millions of Iranians has been or will be leaked. And nobody is taking credit for this. So if Israel was behind the cyber attack in Iran, some of the reasons, some of the strategy here might be, first of all, economic disruption. By crippling Iran's banking system, they could create significant economic chaos. It would strain the Iranian government's ability to pay its employees. It would strain everybody else's ability to get money out of the bank and pay all their bills. And that's obviously going to dilute, at the very least, the Iranian government's attention from dealing with this enemy that's 1,000 kilometers away. Number two, by crippling their infrastructure, the banking system is critical infrastructure. There's no two ways about it. By targeting that critical infrastructure, Israel could aim to demonstrate its ability once again. This is modus operandi for Israel. The last time in April when Iran struck Israel with those 330 rockets, missiles, and drones, Israel's response was more a show of capability than a show of destruction. We are capable of destroying some very important things to you, and if you're not careful, you might find out. So this is a form of deterrence on the part of Israel, if Israel's behind it, that would aim to show Iran what they're capable of doing. We can hurt you in lots and lots of ways, not just by shooting down all your missiles or blowing up your missile sites or your, whatever important infrastructure. This could also be a form of preemptive strike. Look, if there's one thing that Israel is good at, it's thinking outside the box when it comes to dealing with its enemies. It's had to, because it's tried everything else. It's tried all the obvious things, like, sanctions, strongly worded tweets. It's tried lots and lots, over 800 targeted killings in its history by the Mossad. They've even partnered up with rebel factions in countries like Iran and Lebanon and supported them, so had their own sorts of proxies that they employed against their enemies, just like Iran is doing to Israel. So they've tried everything else, and one thing that they've always prided themselves on is their ability to be creative in finding solutions to their problems. It's one of the things that makes Israel a great nation. And so this could be a preemptive strike. If Israel is pretty sure that Iran is about to strike them, because they've already pulled a lot of their missiles out of the silos and they're out there doing training in the western Iranian desert with these missiles, it's a good bet that what they're actually doing is setting up for a strike. So Israel pushes a couple buttons and Iran's banking system goes down. That's obviously going to, weaken Iran's ability to finance and even execute such an attack. Now, number 4, it could be a form of psychological warfare. This attack could be intended to sow fear and division and uncertainty among and between Iran's people and its leadership, and showcase Israel's reach and abilities and technological prowess over their enemies. And that by itself might make Iran reconsider attacking Israel, because the message, the quiet part of this message would be, if you attack us, we can do even worse than this. Does that make sense? Number 5, it undermines confidence in Iran's government ability to take care of its people and to strike at its enemies. It makes Iran look weak. It erodes public trust even further in a country where that's already very, very tenuous. And so obviously, any domestic support that Iran still enjoys, which isn't much, could be eroded away even further if nobody can get any money. That's pretty simple. And last but not least, it's a strategic distraction. It is a method by which they can force Iran to divert attention and resources from this attack on Israel that they have planned to dealing with trying to get the ATMs back online. And, you know, I mean, everybody, even nations, only have a certain amount of attentional energy, the ability to pay attention to certain things. And since we're finite people, even a nation has got a finite amount of decisional energy. And so if they have to put a lot of that into fixing what's broken in their country, it stands to reason that they would have that much less to put into planning and executing an attack on Israel. So, again, we don't know if Israel is behind this. We don't even know if this attack actually happened because, again, Iran puts the kibosh on all of the media reporting anything negative out of Iran. So the only way we find out really what's going on in Iran is the few people who are able to get around the firewalls and get stuff out on social media. We've had people on my lives coming in from Iran, and I don't know if there's anybody on the live tonight that's from Iran, but, you know, it wouldn't be super safe for them to be saying what's going on, saying what's wrong, but this certainly could happen, okay? So if, there's a lot of ifs here, if there's an actual cyber attack that's happened inside Iran, if Iran's financial system is shut down because of it, and if Iran was behind it, if Israel was behind it, well, these are the reasons why they might do that I've just enumerated here. You know, the economic situation in Iran, according to the Iranians that I've spoken to in Armenia, is somewhere south of terrible. It's already very bad economically in Iran. And more than 80% of the people in Iran despise the regime, according to the people that I've talked to. So why is the economy so bad in Iran right now? Well, number one, sanctions. You know, if you're a global jerk, if you're the world's number one state sponsor of terror, then it's likely that you're not going to have a lot of countries that want to be friendly with you. And those countries that do want to be friendly with you, like North Korea and Russia, are going to have their own problems with sanctions. And so when the rest of the world, the civilized world, puts sanctions on your economy, the United States had reimposed U.S. sanctions, which barred any American companies from doing business with Iran. So if you grow apples in Washington State and you wanted to sell them to Iran and export them out there, you can't do that anymore. But you can sell them to Armenia. You can sell your apples to Armenia all day long, and those apples can get then resold from Armenia into Iran. That makes, it might not be hard to understand, and might not seem like such a big deal if we're talking about apples, but what if we're talking about computer chips? Computer chips that can be used in things like, missiles and drones that could strike at our allies, and other mechanical parts that might be used in things like Iran's Bayraktar drones that are being used, or the Shahed drones that are being used as suicide drones in Iran, and in Ukraine and elsewhere. Well, as it turns out, there are parts inside the Shahed 136 drone that is being used by Russia against Ukraine on a daily basis now. There's 26 different American companies or Canadian companies that provide parts that end up in those suicide drones that are killing Ukrainians. This is a big problem, and it shows that Iran can get around those sanctions if it really wants to. So the sanctions, they can get around the sanctions, but they do have an effect, and it has had an economic bite on Iran.